All right, we got some folks joining us. Hello, everybody. My apologies for running a few minutes behind. We're just preparing and technical difficulties arise at times. So just want to thank you guys. Good evening, everybody. Want to thank you guys for being here. Tonight, as you guys know, we are holding space for the impacted family of the victim, Howell Jr. Melendez. So originally, I had shared that Lupe Melendez Mendoza, his mother, is joining us, but we also have his sister Ashley, who is going to be joining us as well. And we are going to speak about the Yolo County explosion and the life of, his family calls him Junior, so we're going to refer to him as Junior. And this is about a son, a brother, a family still living through the aftermath of what has happened. Just want to hold space as well and acknowledge all the victims in the explosion that took place in Esparto, California. Those of you who have been following and seeing the updates that I've been sharing are a little more familiar with what happened with the Yolo County explosion. So this is the first time we have one of the impacted families coming and talking and sharing a little bit with us. So if you're watching live, go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you catch the replay, comment replay. And then everybody who's watching, please share this stream. And feel free to drop your comments. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop those too, and we'll try to get to some if we have time at the end. So again, I just want to, I'm going to introduce the impacted family members that are with us, Lupe and Ashley, and I'm going to bring them on screen. We're going to all come on screen right now. Ashley will be joining us in a moment when she comes back, but she is here with us. So hello, everybody. And my apologies, you guys, for being a couple minutes late. We got 3 text messages. People, where are you guys at? So definitely appreciate you guys taking some time tonight to be here with us. If you're from Yolo County, if you're from Woodland, Esparto, definitely share this with folks. People need to see this. People need to see the aftermath, just a piece of it. And we all need to continue to push for accountability for these families. And yeah, thank you guys for being here. So I have Ashley on screen with us. We have Lupe, and I'm going to go ahead and let them start off with talking about their loved one. I will be bringing up some photos on the screen throughout this, so I might remove myself momentarily and post photos. But again, you know what? I need to put the chat on if it isn't on. Okay, we got chat going. We're going to share the chat on this screen as well. Maybe not. I don't want it covering our faces, so let's see. I don't want to be in the middle of that. Okay, so I probably will keep the stream comments off, but you guys keep the just to not be in our faces, but definitely keep the comments going. I will go through them as we talk. Seeing other impacted families in here as well. So, thank you guys for being here too and supporting this family. Again, drop in the comments where you're tuning in from. And if you're watching the replay later, go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. So let's go ahead and let the ladies come on and introduce themselves. And we'll start with where I feel is always important to start with, which is about the victim. And we want to know a little bit more about Junior. And Lupe, if you would like to start off and just share whatever you feel comfortable about your son, about who he is as a person, and what he loved and what you loved about him the most.
Well, hi, my name is Lupe Melendez Mendoza. I'm Junior's mom. Sorry. Junior meant a lot to a lot of us. He is very missed, and so it's kind of hard. Hard to accept like what I'm doing right now. Just to even accept what has happened. Um, Junior was life of the party. He was always joking, always trying to make people smile. When he was a little kid, he was very lovable, always wanting to hug, always wanted to prank on people, but I don't know. It's just very hard to accept that I'm talking about him, um, because this is so tragic. Um, I wanted to come on here and I don't know exactly know why I agree, but because besides doing this, I am just being right now in life like aimlessly. I don't know I haven't not been able to get back to normal at all. Junior was a lot. He was everything to me. He was my world. He was my first boy. He was very much wanted, very much loved. Um, he had plans. He had dreams. He had, inspirations. Sadly, his life was cut very short, um, for negligence, for, it's, I'm sorry, but it's kind of hard for me to kind of put my feelings into words right now, because I'm dealing with pretty bad mental health. And so my thoughts are very scattered. But there's a big part of me that's gone and that I will never get back. I'm sorry, excuse me. That he's just going to be missed. He's missed already. But at the same time, I'm not even accepting that this has happened. I know it's been a lot of months, not a lot, but it's been months already. But as a mother, I'm not there. I'm not there at all. One of the main things that keep me going are his sons. His son, he's only 3 months, and he looks like my son was reborn. He looks just like him. But anybody that knew Junior knew that throughout his life, I would always get compliments from teachers, from Muay Thai instructors, from different things that he would do, and people would compliment and say, "He's so polite. He's so sweet. He's so nice. He's he's thoughtful." And I'm not just saying that because he's my son. He was a very attentive kid. He was, he cared about what other people felt. I had said this before, that I know that the people that are responsible for this and that knew him there, that he would deal with, maybe not on a day-to-day basis, but weekly basis, that were in charge of where he was working there. I know that at one point they laughed because he said a joke, or because he did something funny, or because he wanted to keep everything light. My son was always doing that. He always tried to make people happy, like, make them smile. So I know that if they knew him, I feel like it's pretty messed up that, that nobody has reached out to me. Nobody has said anything to me. Just like how their kids mean so much to them, mine do too. My son means so much to me, and that my life is pretty much so altered. I really don't know how to go on. So I am doing this because I want them to see my withered face, to know that I'm very altered. I'm very altered. They really, really, really messed up people's lives just because of their greed. I feel like it's because of their greed. I don't know what else it would be. I know it's negligence, but it has to be. There's a root to it. But there's a lot of.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just want to highlight to the audience because they might not know, but you mentioned nobody has even reached out to you. So is that even a sorry, a phone call, even
Nothing, not a letter, nothing. I mean, a letter, because if they feel embarrassed or ashamed or they can't accept that what happened, you could at least send a letter, automate something, 3 words, something. But it feels like we are so dismissed. Like my son's life did not matter, or the other young men didn't matter. It didn't matter. They didn't matter. I can't hold my son anymore. I can't see him be a father. His baby is 3 months. His other baby is, I think, 18 months. And they will never know their dad. And he would have been a great dad. He would have been so happy to be their dad. And that's what he was doing. He was working. He had to work because he had found out Maria was pregnant. So he worked more hours. That's what he wasn't supposed to be there. So the people that are responsible to do their jobs to make sure that other people were safe didn't do their job. Or they just felt like they're not important enough. Because if it would have been their son, I don't know the whole detail because I try not to. Me mentally, I cannot put myself so much in what's the news and all that, what's happening. I'm being real that I know what I have heard and what I've seen is that there was a man and his son that escaped it. Okay. And how would he feel if it was his son, the one that escaped, that he didn't escape? When everything was happening and somebody had mentioned, hey, there's somebody in the hospital. I was hoping it was him. But of course it wasn't. It was them. They made sure they were okay. But Junior and all the other boys didn't mean anything to them. But I'm here to say that my son meant a lot. More than a lot. More than a lot. So I want you to see my withered face, my face the way it is. And I want you to think about it every night. And I want somebody to pay for this with maybe not physically their life, but I've said this before. Somebody needs to go to jail. I'm not gonna hold back. Somebody needs to go to jail because I don't get every opportunity to say what I want to say. I deal with this by myself. I go to therapy 5 days a week.
Oops, sorry.
My life has been altered. I have another son that I have to take care of. That needs my help.
I'm sorry. Oops, trying to get mine.
It's okay.
Yeah, trying to bring up. I'm gonna be bringing up different photos, guys. So you might see me move this screen because some of the photos take up different space. So my apologies about that. I want you ladies to know, and everybody watching, there are other families impacted by this explosion. Yes. Also in the comments, there are folks sharing the location and just sending you guys love and just understanding what you're saying. So to definitely wanted to acknowledge the other families that are here watching with you guys
Yes,
too. So,
really do.
um, so I'm going to bring up some more of the photos, Lupe, that you sent me. Ashley, would you like to share? I know you, different bond as a sibling, you know, if there's anything you'd like to share about your brother that you want folks watching to know.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me just make sure mine's up. Okay. Yeah, my name's Ashley Ragosa. Junior was my younger brother. Um, I think I second to what my mom says. He was, if you knew Junior, there wasn't a serious moment. He was always silly. He was, yeah, trying to make sure everybody got together. And I felt like Junior had like one facial expression and it was smiling all the time. I feel like it's crazy to talk about my brother in past tense because he was such a beautiful energy. This definitely has left me with like a hole in my whole being. Him and I were really close. He would call himself my boy twin. Yeah, I just want accountability. I've been totally silent through this whole entire thing, but I think my grieving has turned into secondary emotions, and that's because the lack of anything being done. But yeah, I just want them to know that if they thought he was dispensable or he was no one, he was our world. And, and I'm pretty sure that's the same for all the families who lost other boys and men in this tragedy. It was those one people were someone's whole world, and that's what Junior was for us. And it's super, it's life changing right now to have to be fill in his space for his sons. Like my mom said, that they're never gonna know their dad. You know, my nephew's first word, and it was his only word for the longest, which was breaking our heart, was dad or dada. And it just breaks my heart having him with me now and knowing that there's going to be a day where we're going to have to explain what happened. And I hope that something is done, so when when he is able to understand, you know, what happened, that he understands that his dad didn't just his dad's life wasn't just taken and nothing happened. I pray and hope that accountability and justice for literally all, regardless on who you are. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I do want
You
both
can
you
turn
ladies
yours on.
to know. I want you both to know that, you know, I know you're like, I haven't spoken, you know, publicly yet. And Lupe, I know you're like, it's a lot, but you guys are, I feel like this is still very fresh. And even just coming on to speak, that takes a lot. So I've done a lot of interviews with families like this, and sometimes it takes years. So just want to thank you guys for being here and willing to share. And I know it's a hard thing to talk about. So um, I don't know. I want to give you guys the opportunity to respond to this if you feel comfortable. But I do, you know, most people watching know know what happened. So just for anybody who may not, this was a workplace explosion. 7 of their workers, all colored people, people of color, died during this. This took place on a property owned by multiple Yolo County Sheriff's workers. One was a lieutenant, one was a deputy, and one was a legal secretary. And there were businesses operating out of there, pyrotechnics businesses that were not, they were not supposed to be there. They were operating this as an agricultural site, and that's the business they were supposed to be doing. There were virtually no safety measures, no oversight, no inspections, and that starts from the county to the state, and they were violating county, state, and federal laws. We've learned that multiple channels of entities and individuals, law enforcement, county officials knew about this. They were warned about this. And again, there were 7 workers, 2 of them had barely turned 18. This happened July 1st. So just wanted to give that quick overview so you guys can understand the depth of this. And this is my hometown is right by there in Yolo County. So I was already familiar with the practices out there by law enforcement. The local fire district, Esparto Fire District, was also one of the business owners there was a volunteer firefighter. So it goes really deep. These people are people in power who know better, and the things they were doing led to this disaster. So I want to ask you ladies if you would like to answer just a little bit. We don't have to go into all the details, but maybe something that sticks out from that day, maybe what you first heard or how, just anything if you feel comfortable.
I mean, what I first heard is that they were missing. For a very long time, they were missing. But by then, we already knew that they weren't missing. That's what I seen that they were putting on the news or whatever, that they were missing. When they freaking know that they weren't missing. If you look to see what was happening, how could they be missing? And then I don't know. I just, from that day, it's just obviously it's just, just thinking, I should have been there shielding him. You think that as a mom. And I'm sorry if that's what's coming out of me right now that I'm just talking about. That's my baby. That's my baby. I wanted to see him get older, and I wanted to see him, I don't know, I know he was going to do something with himself. I know he was. He didn't get a chance. Tells you something. He was at work. He wasn't doing something else. He was at work. So that tells you something about his character. That's one thing. My son was always hardworking. He's always been hardworking since he was 16 years old, and he started working at Perkos. And then, he would work at Perkos, and then he did Muay Thai. Then he would take his grandma out with his checks. He would take her to Denny's like once a week as soon as he started working. That's how his heart was, until like even a month before this happened. He went and took her flowers and candies and stuff. About maybe a month before this happened. And my mom right now, she didn't even recognize him, or she didn't know who he was, but she knew she loved him. And that made him cry. He cried the last time he seen her. My mom asked for him still. And we have to tell her over and over again. And she remembers it. She's 95, my mom. And she remembers that that's her grandson, the one that loved her so much, and that would bring her flowers, and that would take her to Denny's. He is part of a pack of a bunch of cousins. And sadly, my son is the one that passed away. And he's one of the youngest of the oldest group, because we have like the older ones. I don't know, Gen Z or whatever you guys call them now. I don't know. But look at my son, was so handsome. I miss him so much. I wish somebody would explain to me how I'm supposed to continue. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know if this is the end for me. I don't know. Nothing's getting better, nothing. Look at his face. In every picture, he's smiling. In every picture, he's happy. He's ready, to make me smile, to laugh, to joke. If I could show you guys videos of Christmas, none of us got up because we don't perform, and he would perform Jingle Bells, and he would sing and try to get everybody to sing. A younger sister always says, man, this last Christmas and Thanksgiving, she was waiting for him to walk in and say, hey, tia, and hug her and give her a big bear hug. But no, that's it. That's over with. So their negligence, they have to know that they have torn me apart. And yes, I'm probably nobody to them. I'm nothing to them. I understand. I'm just another mourning mom, But it's okay. Look at my face. I hope my voice resonates in your head. I hope it does. And I'm not a vengeful person, and I'm not trying to be. But justice has to be done somehow. It has to be done. He meant a lot. And I'm going to keep saying this until the day I die. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep saying it. So actually, I really want to know if nothing happens to these people, you know what I mean? If no changes or disciplinary actions are pursued, how will the decision be justified to the families, to the rest of the families, to us, and the community? I mean, that happened in a community where there was families. This could have been, I know that we lost so much, me and the other families lost so much, but how is this not going to happen again in somebody else's community? So what are they going to do? So if nothing happens, where nobody goes to jail, or they just have to pay those stupid fines, what's going to happen? If also, I wrote some things down, or I have some things down I wanted to bring up. If individuals involved and are placed on leave, what message does that send to the families who are facing permanent loss, mental loss, and financial hardship? And then why are families learning updates through media instead of directly from Yolo County officials? Like I said, I never, not one time, nobody, not even a secretary that would have said, oh, I feel bad, we should say at least something, something on a letterhead to say, it's not a cat or a dog that died, which cat and dogs are very valuable. You know what I mean? No, nothing.
And I think that says a lot that they didn't say anything.
No, and they still haven't. And that's why I agree to do these things. I know it's nothing because I don't know what to do, because I want to scream. I want to go there and say, who do I talk to, and just tell them exactly how I feel. But I can't do that, For the longest time, I just wanted to scream it from the top of the roof. What communication protocol is in place to ensure families to be informed before the public is? Everybody else knew, but I didn't. We did not. We didn't know, and we still don't know. Nobody's told us anything, Are state and county agency fully aligned on their conclusions, or are they still discrepancies? My son
I
was,
want to ask.
huh?
I want to. You could finish your sentence.
Oh, okay. No, I was just gonna say something for that picture that's up right now. I'm just saying
Yeah.
he's part of some. He's part of somebody. You know, he was part of somebody. You know, you see my 3 other children there. He's part of them. And now he's gone. So to these people, I know some of their names, but I don't want to even mention their names. He means a lot. You gotta look. You gotta see.
I want to ask you, ladies, what exactly does justice? I know you kind of touched on it earlier, but what would justice look to you? And just the fact that, well, for the audience, one, the deputies who owned part of the property retired quietly in September, and the husband and wife, both employees of Yolo County Sheriff's Office, are on paid leave. So we know in just a couple days it's going to be the 8th month. So what does justice look like for you, and how do you feel about these people just being free and on paid leave? And what would you say to them if you had the opportunity to?
For like I said earlier, somebody needs to go to jail. Lives are lost. You know what I mean? Somebody didn't just lose fingers and their eyesight. There were 7 lives that were lost, 7 meaningful lives, and like you said, brown lives. Even if I want to say that, I'm saying it. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. I'm an old lady. I'll say it. I don't care if that's what it is. Maybe it isn't, but I'm saying it. I don't care. But somebody needs to go to jail. What are we going to tell my grandsons? Huh? You're 2 boys. What am I going to tell my grandsons? What happened to their dad? And that nobody's paid for it. And that they're still there doing the same crap over and over again to other people. So hopefully they do the right thing. Hopefully the district attorney does the right thing. I know it doesn't matter that it's coming from me, but hopefully it does. I mean, hopefully that they, that they feel like, shit, I got to do the right thing now. Because this could happen to anybody out there, anybody that's listening that, that hasn't had something tragic like this. I mean, I know people have lost their children and stuff like that, sicknesses, but I'm telling you, because I go to groups with other mothers, but I'm going to tell you, this tragic, everybody else in the groups, they cry so much for what has happened to my son. Because it was preventable. It was, oops, 7 lives gone. Let's just, the insurance will pay for it. I mean, that's what I heard in the beginning when I was listening, that's what, I don't know who, the owner or something said, tell them not to worry because we have insurance and they'll get paid out. I don't want to cuss or nothing like that, but mother, you know what I mean?
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Pay your motherfucking ass. Pay your mother. Pay your mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I really want to highlight what you mentioned earlier as well, what we know about. They say 2 people escaped, and one of them was the firefighter's son. Again, all brown folks and all people from out of town, nobody local. And I just know myself too, and I've been saying this even before I met any of your families, that it would be a different response if that was that damn sheriff in there.
That's
or
right.
his family.
It would. We wouldn't. It would. It would actually be. Hello, Gavin Newsom. Are you hearing me? I hope that you hear me right now. Okay. Don't just have your handsome face there. Hello, you say you protect us brown people. Hello.
Which
You know?
he remained silent on this
Yes.
tragedy, everybody. Nothing from him at all.
Nothing.
But he spoke out about the recent the Tahoe victims, which that's a tragedy as well. But
right.
Why didn't he speak on this?
Well,
everybody should have been speaking on this.
Yeah, and he still has a chance because he still has a life. He's still alive. He could still do it. My son can't. So Gavin Newsom, come on, speak up. Say something. Say something. But yeah, right. I want to see. I challenge you. Help us. We still need help. For them, I'm telling you, I cannot, because my brain is very scrambled. I can't tell you who was the person that said that, but I know that they were called into one of my girls. Either it was my daughter-in-law or my daughters, but that's what they said. To like, oh, don't worry, we have insurance. Everybody's gonna get paid out. The fucker, are you serious? That's what you think that we're worried about? That's what matters, because that's what matters to you, right? So let it be your kid. That man or young man that ran out, I mean, I don't know who he is. I'm not gonna, know, or I don't know, because I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But I assume he was a young man, probably my son's age.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so let's see if that happened to him. Hopefully he hears too, because he's old enough to hear, and hopefully he talks and says something to his friend, and somebody else says something. I hope so. I hope that he has nightmares. Kid, young man, I hope you do. I don't care. Your dad didn't give a shit about my son. And I'm sorry that I'm cussing. I don't want to do that.
You're good. And I want you to know, people in the comments are validating you. They're telling you,
yes,
speak your truth. They are listening. They care. So, people do care. I want to, if people from Yolo County, people that are in the community where the decision will be made by the DA eventually, whether they will charge and prosecute those involved or not. Is there anything you want to say to that community that has the ability to ask their elected officials, to call on their elected officials to do what's right with this case? Would you like to direct the community?
Yes, please. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Put yourself in our shoes, in the 7 mothers and wives that are, not wives, but mothers and wives or whatever, because it could happen to you. And if you guys are in the community, just a little more could have been your guys' houses, because so it could have been you guys too. So if you guys don't do it, I don't live in that community. I'm far away. I'm in the Bay Area, not that far away, but I'm in the Bay Area. So there's not much I could do about that, but you guys can, and it doesn't have to do with you're saying something for my son, but you're saying something for your kids. Because if it could happen like that right away and they're sweeping it under the rug, it could happen again. Because you know what? Honestly, I never really paid attention to Yolo County or anything like that. I never did. I'm from the Bay Area. And now that I hear about it, I hate it. It makes me cringe. It just makes me, I hate hearing that word, Yolo County, because guess what? Every time I would look that up, it's talking about how the officials are not doing their damn job, and they're basically doing illegal shit. They're like gangsters. I hate to say it, but that's the way it is. They're doing their own thing. And I used to hear other people saying things like that's the officials do that, and like cops do that. And I never thought of firefighters doing that, because I've always looked up to firefighters. You know what I mean? I've always have, and I used to tell my son, because obviously my son wasn't an angel. Okay. He, whatever, but he got his life together. Ashley, he got his life together. Sorry about that, guys. he got his life together and everything, and thought that these people were his friends. They thought that he was, that they were like looking out for him. He was maybe a month, I can't remember, a month, 2 months before that, because I would tell him, I didn't like that he worked there, because I thought, he would kind of tell us, like, that they had a lot of fireworks there and that they're going to do a show and all this. And he was very proud of that they were going to show him they were going to train him. That's what he was saying, Mom, like he wanted me to be proud of that. He wanted me to see his shows, that what he was working on. He wanted to do that because ever since he was a little guy, he loved fireworks. That was his favorite holidays, 4th of July. And as soon as he could get older, he bought his own. He spent his whole first Perkles check on fireworks. The first time he worked, he spent like, I think, $500 on fireworks. I was like, oh my God. And I hate 4th of July now, and I didn't before, but now I hate it. I don't even want to look at another firework or think of it. I don't even want July to come. And guess what? It's messed up because, of course, with the bad, good comes. My daughter is expecting, and she's going to give birth in July. And that's the month that I have to be torn. But the odd thing is that when my son was born, it was the same thing. I was mourning my dad a year before, and my son, he was born to soften that pain from my dad passing away April 3rd, 1996. And my son was born April 3rd, 1997. At 8:30, my dad passed away p.m. And my son was born like 8:20 a year later. And he softened that blow for my dad. My dad was my best friend. But this pain, and now my other grandson's going to be born for my daughter in the same month. And my daughter said, Mom, it has to be Junior. You know what I mean? That has to be him saying, you're going to give you a little angel. That way that I won't suffer so much. But Junior, I'm suffering so much. I want to be with you so bad. Yeah, I know the mothers listening to this. I never want you to put yourself in my shoes. Never, not even think about it, because that feels ugly to even think about that. But I'm telling you, it's as bad as you think. It is as bad as you think. So the people around there, hopefully you guys both write or do what you have to do to get help. And that way that they put the laws to correct this somehow, that you guys can't have damn war explosions in your backyard, because that's what it was. You know what I mean? Like a war back there. Just a little bit more, maybe like one more truckload that would have came. You know what I mean? One more, them being greedy, a little bit more would have put a couple more thousands of I don't know how much money they spent on all that, but it must have been a lot. And you know what I mean? Because they knew that they were going to get it tripled or doubled or whatever. Could have been your house. It could have been your kid. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure kids are probably traumatized, thinking like, man, that could have happened to me. Kids that understand probably think like, wow, that could have happened. They seen it and they could see it. Yeah. You know what I mean? They see the news. They know where it's at.
And there's actually, so I know a lot of people in Esparto, and a lot of people have commented on my posts, but a lot of them explain the day from their home having to evacuate and seeing it happening. People thought they were being bombed. Some people wondered if we were being attacked because of how horrific and how huge, and just people knew that it was something really serious. And then to come back to the fact of who is responsible for that, who owns it, who's been operating it.
The people that are supposed to protect us, and keep us safe. And the thing is that this is what I was going to make a point. The point is that I would tell my son would say, oh no, I don't like police and this and this and that or whatever. He was getting to a point where he was like, because I told him like, I didn't want to work with their mom. You're going to feel better because it's actually a police and it's a firefighter. So then he was trying to give me peace about it and say, they're actually really cool with me, Mom. They want me to, they want me to join on with them and, be part of them, and he was very proud of that. And then I'm the one that told him to have, to trust them, trust cops and trust, obviously not. I wouldn't think why not, you know what I mean? And I feel bad that, that not bad, but I mean, I feel horrible that I told them that. And look, I should have just left them and thinking that, that they are the enemy. I never thought that before. Growing up, I never thought that, I never thought that about police. I never thought of the corruption. I know that sounds naive, but I just thought that I could say, that I could say to my son, they're police. When you have your son, you're going to tell them that, they're the good guys. That's who we go to when there's problems and people are trying to hurt us. I never thought I was going to have to say that they're going to hurt us, and they hurt us. They have destroyed me. I'm destroyed. My son, I have a younger son. He's 19 years old. That's Junior's baby brother. And he's on the spectrum, my son. Every day, my son breaks down. Every day. He misses him so much. He needs him. Every day he breaks down and he doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. I mean, he understands a lot. He's very logical, but he just doesn't understand exactly why, if he trusted these people, why. And now he's saying it himself too. He hates cops. And he doesn't want to see anything that has to do with firefighters or anything like that. And, it's just, all I know is that they turned my life upside down. I will never be the same. And I know it sounds like just a mother that's grieving. No, fuck no. I'm going to tell you, my repetitive thoughts are not just regular repetitive thoughts. They're horrific, because if you could put yourself and say, what exactly happened? If you look, the people that are on here and that were there, they know that it was bad. But what I had to see on TV, because, like I said, I'm not from over there. He didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance. So that's my repetitive thoughts. It's my nightmare. So I don't know how long I'm going to be able to deal with those nightmares. Nightmares awake. Okay, repetitive thoughts. Like I said, I'm in intensive therapy, but that, can't go on for forever. This is very, very, very tragic. And those repetitive thoughts, they're not regular. I'm just letting you know that if you could go deep, how somebody would just think about somebody else. But I have to think about that, and that happened to my son. My son was torn apart. And I couldn't do anything. And as a mother, you want to protect them. It doesn't matter at any cost. You would throw your body in front of them. I don't care if my son was 28 years old. He still was my baby boy. He still was my baby boy. And I never could hug him ever again. Never. Because somebody, they forgot to go check on them and check off the list. They went to go check off the other fireworks stands that were blocked down. I heard about that. That they checked the fireworks stands around that neighborhood. Okay, but they forgot to check where they had freaking explosives, which they knew about. Those motherfuckers,
Yeah.
they knew that shit. And they just, oops. And who gives a shit if those fucking brownies are over there working? Who gives a shit? Who cares?
And I want to, for the audience to know, just to clarify what Mom is saying right now.
Sorry that if I'm saying something wrong.
No, you're perfectly fine. But I want them to really know there are some people from Yolo County in here too, and they will watch it later too. But CAL FIRE inspector was in Esparto the day of the explosion, a few hours prior. This is documented. It's been clarified that it is a fact. They were in Esparto, California, out of the entire California, and they were at the fireworks stand at the location of the Esparto Fire District. So they went to do an inspection on that stand, they say. That's kind of fishy in itself. We already know that CAL FIRE was warned ever since, documented since 2023 about this illegal hazardous facility. So there are a lot of people implicated. The web goes far and high from the county up, and it's really actually a little scary how deep it is. So for people watching, that's how deep this is. And that could be the very reason why they have avoided, on top of other things, why they have not talked to the families, why they have not treated them with basic dignity and respect.
Yeah.
They should be being treated as the family of victims, and they're not at all. Learning updates from the news, that's not okay. And that's too many people that are responsible for that.
Yeah. If CAL FIRE concluded the investigation, why does Yolo County have the final authority over what happened next? Why wasn't Yolo County directly involved in the investigation process if they now hold decision-making power? How is that not a conflict of interest? How isn't it? How the hell I don't understand that. Does anybody know how that makes sense? That's like if we tell our kid, they just did something bad. They just freaking stole something from the store. And then we come home and say, oh, you're going to make your own punishment. How does that make sense? You know what I mean? How does that make sense? What do you think, that they're going to put themselves on timeout? No, they're not. We know that.
And for anybody who is not super familiar with this, we know there was the Yolo County sheriffs directly involved, owners of the property, a volunteer Esparto firefighter helping running one of the businesses on this property. And those two groups helped in the beginning. They were able to help lead press conferences. And that's everything that they've done, I feel, is a conflict of interest from the very beginning. And that could have very much corrupt the entire investigation.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
So again, I want anybody from Yolo County who watches this, you guys can write to the elected officials. You can write to the Board of Supervisors. You can show up at meetings for the Board of Supervisors and demand accountability for the families. The district attorney, they have not concluded their case yet because they have the final say. There were attempts. We even helped create a petition to try to get this to go above Yolo County, because I've been saying, in my opinion, they should have never been touching this case. And we asked for the attorney general to take this case, and he refused it. He said he didn't see there was a conflict of interest big enough to stop them from doing a proper and fair investigation. And I think that is not okay. But go ahead and
you know what I mean? It's not big enough for them. It wasn't their fucking kid. That's why. It wasn't their grandkid. That's why. It wasn't. You know what I mean? It wasn't. It was mine. It was mine and the 6 other people. That's why. It wasn't.
Yeah, and someone asked, can we do it even if we don't live in Yolo? Oh, yes, absolutely.
Please do.
Absolutely. You guys can send emails. I could even make a post and add it to the description. Emails and contact info to the elected officials in that county to tell them we're demanding justice for these families and accountability for especially the elected officials and the people directly involved with running this facility, but also those who signed off wrongly and dangerously should also be held accountable. So I could even help create a script for you guys to send people watching to send out, and you guys can add your own thoughts. So I'll touch base and do that later. But definitely, whether you're from Yolo County or not, you can send also email or reach out to the district attorney's office, who should be making a decision on this 8 months just in 2 days here. So I mean 3 days. So it's a short month. Is there anything, Ashley, you would like to share that you would like to add in?
Yeah, no, I just want justice for my brother and everybody's family member who was affected. Yeah, sorry, kind of just emotional right now.
You're okay. You're okay. Just
I can't really hear. I'm turning the thing.
yes, so some people in the comments, definitely I will make a post and share with you guys after, and then I will add it into this. So people who watch it later, I'm sure, honestly, I'm sure Yolo County officials will be watching. They've watched my stuff before, and I'm sure they would, so I mean, they should hear it. They should know that families are here, and you guys are real people. Your real family, your loved ones are real victims that deserve justice.
Look, I'm a real person. You guys did a lot of damage. You guys killed me alive. So I hope they do see. Please do the right thing. I don't care. You don't need to tell me anything. You don't need to send a message or anything. That's okay. We'll just get over that. But please, DA, please do the right thing. Please.
And I just want to remind the group too, he was married. This was him and his wife and his first baby. She has since, after the tragedy, she has given birth to another child without her husband by her side. And, that's another more children who are also impacted by this tragedy, who will suffer deeply. And some never got to meet their parents. One of the other victims just had a child as well, and it's really messed up what their families are going through, and having to move forward without any addressing of it, without any accountability, just adds to the grief.
Exactly, that does. Because it feels like all this pain and hurt that is just unbearable. It's like people are walking by like we're imaginary. Look at my son's beautiful face. My son, he loved Muay Thai. He liked anime. He loved his sister Ashley. Like he said, he was her twin. But I mean, they're not twins, but he would say that he looked up to her so much. He would follow her around like a puppy. All the time, they would play around a lot. On top of other things that he loved his brother and his other sister too, his sister Crystal. He was waiting for Crystal to get pregnant because she's the oldest. And he would always tell her, joking around all the time, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to have a baby? Because they're like 8 years apart. But now she's pregnant. But he didn't get to see that. He would have been so happy. He would have been jumping up. He would have been so great. It would have been funny. He would have been saying funny things and joking around, and probably pick up Mike, his brother-in-law, because he was a big bear, and he would probably do that. It's a lot of things. He wouldn't look at my son, how handsome he is. And my beautiful son. That's my beautiful son. Me and him were like twins. You could tell that's my son. I was proud of him no matter what, a lot of things he went through. I was proud when he walked in the room. I would say, "That's my son." My heart would pound, and I would say, "That's my son." Even if I was mad at him or he was mad at me, I still, it's mother's first love, real love, your son.
And I brought on Tiffany's comment. She is another wife to one of the victims as well, children with her husband as well. So all these poor babies living without their daddies.
Yeah.
And there's so many.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. One that was just born a couple weeks ago. I don't remember her name, but yeah, for one of the youngest boys.
Yeah. And the sad part is they were excited to be dads. You know, they were ready to welcome their babies to the world, and
she got stuck.
Didn't get to meet.
You froze, Marissa.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying the heartbreaking thing is that they were excited to be fathers to their babies that were on the way.
Yep.
And never got the opportunity to even meet their children, and vice versa. And that's something that shouldn't be overlooked when we're talking about this tragedy.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to, especially if nothing happens to, I will tell, when my grandsons get old enough, I will tell them who these horrible people are. You know what I mean? And I don't, you know what I mean? They're going to find out one day. I mean, but I will. I'm not going to hide it when they get older, when they become men, 21 years old or whatever. But probably, I don't know if I'll be here by then, but still, I mean, they're the highlight of all of us. You know what I mean? We hold on to them like it was him, We hold on to them so tight when they're here, when they're around us. They're our lights for life. Is there anything else, Ashley, you want to say? Your brother? Let's speak up a little bit. Can't hear you. Okay.
I think she's muted.
Sorry.
It looks like her screen may have.
Oh, it's froze. Okay, Ashley.
Okay, so we'll be closing up in a couple minutes. I wanted to just give you an opportunity to share some last words, and Ashley, if she would like to as well, share some last words with the viewers and the people in the comments. Just again, been just sending love and support and understanding you. A lot of them are actually impacted moms in other ways themselves. So thank you for sharing. I know it takes a lot to come on video and just talk about the most horrific thing of your life. So just wanted to say thank you for trusting me with your story and sharing with me as well.
Marissa, I want to thank you so much. And like I told you before, I want to thank your mom. If she's listening, I want to thank her. I want to thank her because you're our voice, If your mama's hearing, I want to thank her.
She's on. She actually told me she feels exactly the way you feel as well, and that she really relates to everything you're saying. So
I believe it. I believe in the people in the comments or whoever is on. I can't tell. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know how to look at this stuff or whatever. But thank you for coming on here, for spending these minutes, because anybody that pays attention to what's happening right now, this is my life. This is the rest of my life. So that you guys took the time to just hear, you know what I mean? This horrific thing and this horrible thing that has happened in my life, and that has happened to my son and my girls, my daughters and my daughter-in-law and my son and the rest of the families. You know, thank you
Yeah,
so
and
much.
just no need to highlight it, but just to highlight it, that when you take one person, you affect so many people that love them, so many people past their immediate family.
Yep.
And then right now with this specific tragedy, we're talking 7 times all those people. They have harmed so many people.
Yes. Yes, they have. My mom is 95, like I said, and she outlived her grandson. It hurts her so much. She cries. You know, her tears on her, you know, her old eyes, her dry old eyes, and she cries. She cries for him. And we have to remind her again because she asks him, where is he at? Why hasn't he came to see me? So we have to keep reminding her, and which is the saddest crap to see, that you're 95 and you outlived your grandson. That's horrible. That I feel bad for my mom too. I feel really bad for my mom. But and that's why I want these people to know. My mom's 95 years old, and if she could talk to them, she probably would tell them off. My mom, she's very upset about it. Very upset. She still says, I can't believe it. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just again, everybody, just really want to thank you guys all for being here. I want to, of course, Lupe, Ashley, and then in the comments we have Tiffany, we have wife Maria, and then Christopher's wife Maria is going to be catching the replay later. So just lots of love to your families, and as I mentioned, I will work on something that I can send to folks who joined us and any of your people that we can start sending messages and contacting people in that county who are supposed to say, who should be doing something, in my opinion. But elected officials, people that community chose to be leaders, that haven't said anything much.
They haven't said anything. That nobody has said anything. And then again, Gavin Newsom, hello.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Say something. Yeah. Say something, please. I in the beginning, the first interview that I did, I was calling out for Gavin Newsom. Hello, Gavin Newsom. Nothing. We haven't heard nothing. I mean, we don't have to hear it personally, but can he say something? Can he go over there and say, like, what's happening? Yeah, but like, it doesn't affect.
Definitely can. He should be, they should be. And that's the problem with these people. They don't care about, they show that they don't care about people.
They say they do. They show them saying they do in front of, everybody, but then they don't. But I'm pretty soon I'm going to be sending him a letter too. I'm going to ask my brother-in-law to help me send a letter to him. I mean, not that it makes a difference, but oh well. I mean,
and it can, the power of the people. That's how we can make a difference. A lot of people putting pressure, writing, calling, showing up, it really can make a difference. And I really, I want to call out my hometown and my community where this happened, that okay, that everybody could speak up, use your voice, write, make a phone call. You can do something, because if this happened to your family, you would want your community to stand with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to share one last picture before we close up. I want to put a picture of the victims, the 7 victims on the screen, and just to any of their families, loved ones who may be watching. We're doing everything I share, and just when we're calling accountability, it's for all of them. So I'm just going to bring that one up. If I can find it. But yeah, if there's anything more you want to share before we close up, feel free, either of you ladies. And then again, gonna bring up the.
Yeah, I will send a copy of the letter to social media. Somebody suggested that, and I will do that. I'll actually send it to Marissa too.
Yeah, and I'll be more than happy, you know, to read it or share it with everybody, and make sure I'm gonna move us to the side. So
thank you, brother-in-law.
Yes. So these are the 7 victims. Again, they were all at work. They weren't up to no good or, you know, doing anything that should have caused this, you know. We people as property owners, as business owners, especially if you're handling this
Thank
type of
you.
material, they have a responsibility to keep a safe work environment. Cal OSHA's report has already told everybody that there was no safety measures in place. So we have 7 victims here. The first 2 in the top left are the ones who had barely turned 18, and then we have the rest of the men, and most of them were fathers in here, but not every single one, but most of them were, you know. And I know all the families are suffering, whether they come publicly and say it or not. So I'm just acknowledging all of them too, in case they watch it. But again, I thank you, ladies, for joining. And again, I know it's not easy. So we'll go ahead and close it up. There was a lot of comments in here. So yeah, if you ever want, you don't have to go through them, but there's a lot of support in there. So if you ever need to look at that, also this type of video, you know, if people ask you what happened, you could send a video, video. So you don't, I know how hard it is to repeat and repeat. So that's why I like to do these two and let you guys share exactly what you're feeling and what you want to say. But okay, we'll go ahead and close this up. Everybody who's watching us or who watches later, just thank you guys for joining and taking time with us this evening. If you haven't yet, drop your location. If you're watching the replay, say replay in the comments. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to close off this stream.
All right. Thank you, Marissa.